Two. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. I am your host, June Archer. This is the Winner Circle. This is 50.com. Today, my guest, Tamika Lamison. She is multi-hyphenate. I can't even tell you the amount of things that this young lady does, but I can tell you one thing. She's from HU.
Hey, you know.
She has a new film out. I just finished watching it, shared it with some friends, and we're here to talk about it. We're here to talk to Miss Tamika Lamison, and the name of the film is Superman Doesn't Steal. Tamika, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Thank you. Oh, I'm great. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to be here. As this film opens up, it says based on a true story. As we get into it, one of the first things that hits my heart is the interaction with these two young people and law enforcement. Why was it important to open up this movie with that interaction?
So, I thought it was really important to because we sort of get to see the kids in their normal, innocent playtime. That's kind of the first thing you see, and then they have that interaction right away. And I thought it was important so that we could set the tone. So it's two levels. It's like innocence and these kids and family, but there's also a darker tone because it's set during the 1970s Atlanta child murders, and and there was also a lot going on with law enforcement at that time, because some people thought that law enforcement was involved with some of the murders. It wasn't just Wayne Williams; it was the KKK. It was so that's the backdrop for it, and I thought it was really important to set it up that kids and Black people, there's many dangers all the time. It's not just maybe the one that you think is the danger.
And why this story and why now? As we are just coming off of an election that
Yeah.
some people could argue did not go the way of the people, whoever you want the people to be. Why now? Why this story?
So this is as you stated, it's a personal story, and it's inspired by a core memory from my childhood of an incident that happened with me and my brother, and it's really important now because at the end of our film, you'll see a quote. The New York Times reopened 157 cases of missing and murdered children, including some of the ones that we know about that weren't unsolved and some of the ones that were. Um, and so obviously all of those murders were not solved. It was more than we thought it was. They were kind of trying to put it to rest. Some people say that they were trying to get the Olympics to come to Atlanta, so it was really important for them to shut that down. But shutting it down didn't necessarily mean that they solved all of the murders. They didn't. There were many still going on and happening, but yeah, so because they're now reopening those cases, this is a really good time for this particular film and story to come out. And I've wanted to tell it for a really long time because it traumatized our family and we never talked about it. So once I did the film, my brother, gave his green light. He co-signed. He said that I really honored the story, and he's a harsh critic, so he gives a straight no chaser. So once he gave the thumbs up and he said I had to do it, then I felt like I really had to do it. And we moved really quickly. We did it all within a year.
Now, you talk about this being a personal story. We talk about this affecting Black people in Atlanta at the time that it happened. I want to talk about Black trauma and how that relates, and what is the takeaway for those who are coming to watch this, and why is it important to unpack some of this hurt that we have been carrying for generations in some of these Black and brown families?
Yeah, and I will say, although the murders were taking place in Atlanta, one of the um, it, um, it- profound things about it was that it impacted Black families all over America because we were actually living in Virginia at the time, and like all Black families, it wasn't. it was happening in Atlanta. That's not how Black family were sort of receiving that. It was someone is out there murdering and snatching Black children. It didn't matter where you lived. We all thought it could happen anywhere. And so, uh, it was like terror. It was like they were being terrorized. Black families were being terrorized. And one of the takeaways that I feel like um, I want people to understand is that, because in the film, my brother does something. He makes a mistake, a critical mistake
Right.
that could cost. It could cost us everything. It costs us our lives. And so the thing that I want people to take away is that Black people, Black children, are not allowed the same. They're not allowed the same wiggle room to create mistakes. They're not allowed the same grace. So a Black person or a Black child who creates certain mistakes, it could cost them their life. So, I mean, it shouldn't be that way, but we really just do not have that same space of grace in order to commit mistakes. And we're human. We're gonna make mistakes, but it has a different level of risk when we do.
Now, Tamika, that conversation that we're talking about is something that had to happen in the 70s.
Yeah.
We're now talking about 2024.
Yeah.
What does that conversation look like? Because the behavior from the other side hasn't really changed much.
No,
What does that conversation look like in 2024, 2025?
it looks the same. The conversation hasn't changed. I mean, if anything, I feel like, honestly, it's so crazy because I feel like back then it was maybe a little bit more innocent. I mean, we knew and we had to go, but it feels like it's even more dangerous today than it was back then. We don't let our kids go out and play in the same kind of way. We don't let them sort of go, biking in the neighborhood at all times. I mean, it's just very different. And so I think that the conversation is even more complicated, but and expansive, to be honest, because we have so much social media. So kids actually see what's happening. They're not naive to the fact that
Right, right.
you can't necessarily trust all cops, and you can't necessarily, they see what's happening out here in the world. So you really have to get a little bit more granular. I would say you got to get into the details of how they can protect themselves in all these various situations, and the ways in which they should uh, maybe consider who they hang around with when they go out and into the world, and how they present themselves in the world as well. And you know, we just want to be ourselves, right?
Right.
We all just want to be who we really legitimately are and want to show up, and our bigness, and it's our beauty, right?
Our
But we all
excellence, our
and
elegance, all
excellence
of
and our
those things.
all of it, right? And but we all know that there's a code switching that maybe needs to happen sometimes in order for us to survive, to thrive in certain situations. Not just survive, but thrive in certain situations. And so all of those conversations, I think, are necessary.
With all that you experienced and what you're showing in this particular film, I love the saying that Black people are not a monolith.
Right.
And you have succeeded at being multi hyphenate, writer,
Mm.
producer, director, etc., etc. What fuels you, Tamika, to make your Black girl magic shine, to be that lighthouse, to be unapologetically dope in what it is that you do, so that we can inspire the next generation of multi hyphenate creatives?
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for all that love. I really appreciate it. What drives me? I mean, I'm a storyteller. I just am a born storyteller. I've been writing ever since I was a little kid. Reading and writing, that was always my thing. I was a little bit of a little nerd. No's always in a book, and that translates to writing. So I've been writing all my life, and uh, I think that being a storyteller and also being someone who is inspired and by service, like that's what drives me. I love to serve and make a difference. And I also love telling stories. So if I can in any way combine those things, and sometimes my making a difference shows up in the types of stories that I choose to tell, because those stories then have impact and there's conversations around them. And so that's kind of where that's sort of where my sweet spot is, as far as being a human and my purpose, right? And then I would also say, for people out there who want to, do this, I always say perfectionism is poison, right?
Mm,
Perfection. So you just got to do it. Like, because of social media and all these other things, people are afraid. We're afraid to just do stuff so that we can learn how to do it. It's almost like people expect you to be perfect out the gate. Well, you can't be perfect. You have to learn. You have to cultivate. You have to make mistakes so you can get better. That's how you learn. And so I feel like, and I say this, I like, movie making is magic. It's magic to me, right?
absolutely.
We creation is magic. That's where we create. We're making magic. So I believe that we should continue to make magic, but we should also allow ourselves to make mistakes. So make magic, make mistakes. Focus on the magic and not on the mistakes.
What do you say to the young person who's trying to do what you're doing? I started the June Archer School of Arts, and we just created the Archer Foundation to
Mhm.
teach young people and give them a career explorative perspective on all of the things that you just mentioned, the magic that happens in the background, and just
Yeah.
trying to make sure that our our local governments allow us to make sure that we bring the A into STEM and call it STEAM, because all of these things, in terms of being creative, social emotional learning, um, all these things revolve around the arts. Why is it
Yes.
important to make sure that the arts are part of our young people's journey moving forward?
The arts have always been a way for all people to express themselves, right? But for kids in particular, the arts seems to be like almost like an easy access of expression, because you can do anything with the arts. You can express yourself in so many different ways. So I think and it can lead to a career. It can lead to things that you never even imagined. And art has saved so many lives. Don't get me started. Why you want to make me cry? Art has saved, my life, my brother's, like it saves lives having art as not just an option. Art is not an option to me.
It's not an
It
option.
No, it's not. It's an absolute necessity, right? And so just like learning math, learning English, art is a necessity and so I've seen so many kids, friends that I know, people that I know, and they say that it saved their lives. It saved their lives. And so I feel like we have to look at it like that. Like when people say, is healthcare a right? Or is it like, well, art is a necessity, it's not an option.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of how I look at it. I hope I answered your question.
Absolutely. And I know that your time is very precious, and you have other things to promote this project. And I'm super excited for you. I'm praying for so much success on this
Thank
project.
you.
I want families of all kinds to watch this and have these conversations around the dinner table or in the living room, talking to our young people and hearing what their thoughts are on this film and how it makes them feel. Uh,
That would be amazing. We have, I just do want to say a shout about our feature. We expanded it into a feature. So we're hoping that we're raising funds for the feature, and we have a lot of great people supporting our efforts. And it is the short is nominated, not nominated. It's for your consideration for our Oscars. We're trying to get on the short list, so it's on the Academy website right now, and we're hoping they'll vote for it to get on that short list and perhaps get nominated. But it is Oscar qualified, and we want to make the feature version of it and expand this story so that we can have more conversations like this.
It will expand. It will be considered. We're going to speak that into existence, and we're going to pray over it, and we're going to see that that happens. And I can't wait to get that call that,
Me too.
that you say, guess what, June? We did
Exactly.
it.
You
We
did
did it.
it.
What is the takeaway, Tamika, as you debut this, and what is the takeaway for those who watch it? We talked about a lot of things, but if it's just if you could say, I want you to watch it for this one reason and this one reason alone, I promise you, you will fall in love with this. What would that
Oh
reason be?
man, what's the takeaway? I think the takeaway is Black love is
Mm,
complicated. It's complicated, but it is profound and beautiful. That's what I would say. Black love.
listen, ladies and gentlemen, Tamika Lamison, Superman Doesn't Steal. Please make sure you watch this. Tamika, where can they find it? Where can we like it, share it, love it?
So we have an Instagram, Superman Doesn't Steal, and Superman Doesn't Steal film. And then we have a website, Superman Doesn't Steal film.com. And you can also see find out what's going on my Instagram at BAOBABT. And here's a little visual aid for you. That's our poster. And check it out. There's some wonderful performances. We had an excellent cast and crew, and we look forward to you watching. And definitely reach out. Let us know what you think.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Tamika Lamison, producer, writer, director, multi hyphenate, amazing Black woman doing her thing, sharing her truth, sharing her story. And I pray that you will see this. Superman Doesn't Steal. Check it out as soon as you can. Let's talk about it. Let's share it with our families and our friends. Tamika, keep doing what you're doing. And I love to share this at the end of every show. Please tell somebody you love them when you have the opportunity to do so, because it might be the last opportunity you had to
Mm,
do so. Tamika, I love you, sister. Keep doing what you're doing.
love
God bless
you.
you. Ladies
You.
and gentlemen, my name is June Archer. This is the Winner Circle. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace.
Thanks.
Woo!